Hello, and welcome back for another episode of the Accessible Technology Podcast. My name is Phoebes, and this is a podcast where you get to hear all about the everyday technology that is accessible for disabled people, as well as learning what technology is less accessible and where you can also get details on how tech companies can continue making their technology even more accessible if that is something you're into. My interest in accessible technology comes largely from the fact that I am paralysed from the neck down, which means that my only bit of movement is my head. And for that reason, I can only use technology with either a chopstick or a stylus in my mouth. So if you are interested in learning about all of that, you can follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, and Spotify. However, if you'd like to support the podcast and the content I produce in other ways, you can also support it by going over to the Phoebes Now Buy Me a Coffee page, where you will be able to give me a one-time donation, find exclusive episodes that aren't part of the podcast, as well as checking out a shop that I plan to open at some stage. In this episode, you're going to be hearing about the 2020 Smart Folio Keyboard Case for the iPad Pro. Although other cases do exist for those models as well if you want to go with any cheaper models as well, and a couple of them have been reviewed before. But before we get fully into this episode, here's just a few additional notes about the keyboard case. So it was first announced by Apple in March 2020, and the original date given for its release was for May 2020. But for obvious reasons, it was then pushed back. Thank you, COVID. And pre-orders then started way later on. However, as well as that, this keyboard was also the first to take on a couple of the more usual MacBook features with a trackpad which had been added, and it also has a USB-C port at the side which you can use to charge your iPad throughout the day, and the one I have is compatible with the 11-inch iPad Pro and iPad Air, although new models are now available for the iPad Air and I think the 12-inch, although you can get other models for the 12-inch as well. But now that I've said all of that, let's get straight into this review. The 2020 Magic Keyboard Case for iPad by Apple came out in 2020 and can be used with the iPad Pro 11-inch second generation, as well as the fourth generation iPad Air and the 2019 iPad Pro, coming with a keyboard that is similar to the ones that come with new MacBooks and Bluetooth keyboards. It is now joined with a trackpad and a USB-C port for pass-through charging, helping to turn your iPad into a computer. It's easy to unwrap and unbox and includes the usual special plastic that Apple fans are super hyped about. Also included in the package is some information including warranty and other information about how to set it up, but people usually don't read through any of that. Now coming with a floating design, it's easy to change the angle depending on what is the most comfortable way for you to use the iPad. And after trying it for a couple of months, I have found that I can reach the bottom of the screen sometimes when I use my thumb stylus. So you should be able to, depending on what you use, still get a good reach out to the iPad itself. Right guys, so writing a book at the minute, and I'm going to go into chapter 10 and write a wee bit so I can check out the keyboard and the trackpad on the new Magic keyboard for iPad Pro 11-inch. So the case of nice, and I could see magnetic feel to them. Is scissor feeling to them. Yes, see, if I get some to use this backpack, I just move it up like I would on the MacBook, and the second is just like that. Very nice feel and very easy. So I've been using the 2020 Magic Keyboard Case for the iPad Pro for a couple of months now, and ever since I started using it, I have found myself using my iPad more than I ever used it. Some of the good things is that it's brought away a lot of the worries about me not being able to reach something now that the trackpad has been added. As well as that, it's also very easy to set up with your keyboard settings. And what I mean by that is you don't have to change any settings from what they were when when I was using a different case. The feel of the trackpad and the keyboard are both very nice, and it's honestly very easy to get around, and I also like how I can now use my hard drive, which I would normally use only on my MacBook, on the iPad. However, saying that, there are still a few problems. One of the problems is that you can't currently choose any of the customizable trackpad settings that are available to you on Mac. So I think that would be a good thing to be added in with any future updates. You also have to scroll down a whole load of apps, which I think makes it a wee bit difficult for some people who might prefer or could only use buttons to scrolled on a page, even though I find it easy enough to scroll. But as well as that, the price at £299 is a wee bit iffy, and of course that does go up in other currencies. But saying that, I have found it well worth the money. So if you can afford the case, I would say it's a well worth buy. So now that I've finished going through all of this, what are your thoughts on the 2020 Smart Keyboard Case for the iPad Pro? Have you bought it before? And if you did, what did you like or dislike about it? If you would like to pass on any of your thoughts to me, you can include them in a review wherever you're listening to this on, as well as via the contact pages over on my Freestyle Tech Reviews site, www.pltechreviews.co.uk, or on my other website, phoebelau.com. If you're interested in watching the other videos that I have uploaded on accessible technology before, you can find more of them by searching for PL Tech Reviews on YouTube. And if you would also like to see a couple of my accessible tours and reviews, as well as my film, TV, theatre reviews and political videos, you can find all of them by searching for freestyle journalism on YouTube. And you can also get a video-free version of all of that by searching for the Freestyle podcast on all of the same destinations as you can listen to this podcast on. But of course, there is also the Buy Me a Coffee page. In the next episode, I'm going to be giving you a review of the Xbox Pulse Red controller for the Xbox Series X/S, while also touching on how well it works on the Xbox One S, as it is also compatible with that as well. And after that, we'll be getting into a review of the Blue Snowball Ice microphone, which is the microphone that I use for recording this podcast, among other things. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, you can do so by searching for @FeepsLow. And if you would also like to follow my Instagram, you can do so by searching for the real Freestyle. However, you can also follow the Freestyle Tech Review site if you have a WordPress account. Thanks for listening to this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!